if you want to spin it again, or we can go for DC. You like DC? Yeah. All right, we're game for DC. All right, our category is DC. There is one take about DC that when I asked my hot takes about DC or about movies came up, there was 1,000 people brought up the exact same one. I thought that The Flash was pretty great. Like, I went to go see it before everyone else. I watched it and I went, like, that's a multiverse movie with a much better setup than what No Way Home did. No Way Home has a lot of great things about it. I've said a lot of negatives about it, but like, so I don't mean to say, like, I really like No Way Home. But the setup of about a kid going to college, I just don't think is great. And then I watched The Flash and I go, that's a better setup. Hey, I grew up on Batman '89, seeing Michael Keaton in there. That is hitting all the right nostalgia buttons for me. It is kind of a DCU alternate take on the Flashpoint story, which is one of my favorite Flash stories. It's not a direct adaptation. It is very much loose adaptation. How does it fit into this continuity? What would the changes look like be in this world? So I can see why for some people they like would want a more direct adaptation. Fair enough. But for me, like, it hit all the right notes. The juvenile, silly humor, you know, as someone that has put many babies in microwaves, I thought the bit about putting a baby in a microwave was fantastic. I didn't know that's not how you're supposed to heat up your children. That's probably why Liam is the way that he is. But my wife has given me the don't say that because it's being recorded, I assume. But I watched it. It made me laugh. But the real reason behind it is a movie's job is to connect with you. I've said this many times before. My dad died when I was 20 years old. And so anytime you lose a parent too young, really anytime you lose a parent, there's always a longing for more. You feel that sense of loss that either if you got to know them well, you don't get to spend more time with someone that means a great deal to you. And if you lose them too young, there's this sense of, I never got to know my dad as an adult. Like, I never really had my brain didn't, finish maturing until I was about 35. And so, like, I never got to have a real conversation with my dad. And so there's a hook inside the movie that is very compelling and absolutely works for me. So when people are like, yeah, but the VFX suck, like, you're not wrong. But like, what matters more to me, VFX or a movie with an emotional hook that really works for me? Well, an emotional hook is more important. Like, well, the third act got kind of weird and the villain's pretty weak. Sure, but I mean, it's a weird version of a conflict because it's a very literal manifestation of you are your own worst enemy. And so okay, that doesn't work. But if a movie works for you emotionally, if that hook, what this is trying to, the journey of the emotion, if that works for you, that transcends everything else. A movie's job is to connect with you. And for very deep personal reasons, that movie connected with me. Now, people in my comments like, oh, I'll say that in a video, like, I don't get it. How can you like that garbage? Like, really? I just told you. Like, you couldn't hear what I just said. There's a pretty personal reason as to why I like it. But, beyond that, like seeing Michael Keaton again, if you're 43 like me, that's awesome. Like, that was really cool. That to me is Tobey Maguire showing up in No Way Home, because that's the movie I grew up with. That's the movie I had on VHS that I watched on loop all throughout the 90s. And so, that's a movie that I just loved.
I agree with you on that, but I also think that it would have been very successful if it stayed to the source material, because of the fact that you would have had less Ezra Miller. And on top of that, people would have paid to see Momoa versus Godot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's a lot of wasted opportunities where you do this adaptation where the Flashpoint story is like epic on this other level with Atlantis and Themyscira going to war. The one that was the disappointment to me is I love the concept of Thomas Wayne Batman, of a Batman that is driven not by dead parents, but by your son died, which is an even darker thing to experience. And female Joker. And then they cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne. He's in it for Batman v Superman for 30 seconds. That is such a great pick to play Thomas Wayne Batman. And so it's tough because it's like, oh, we got to see more Michael Keaton at the cost of this other thing that I also would have loved to see. So it's always tough where you go like, oh man, you did a bunch of cool stuff in here, but I wish you had. I think the other problem with the movie is that it feels like the sequel to a movie we never got. And so people aren't like, well, there's There's a lot of reasons that people don't like. There's a Ezra Miller hurdle with this movie, but beyond that, it's also like diving in and doing Flashpoint before you've done The Flash. Really, I get why it didn't work for a lot of people. I do, but also for me, it connected on a pretty deep level.